like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down.
Alright, here we are, folks.
Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in us. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna light it up. Tonight, we gonna light it up. Tonight, we gonna light it up. Just like the sunrise, we gonna light it up.
Welcome back once again. This is Chris Report, and he assured me that since Simon's down in Boulders, folks, this is Chris Wyatt reporting from South Africa. Hello and welcome back on a Friday, folks. Lekker Freitag. And for folks in South Africa, it's a lekker Freitag. And it's already evening over there, but still just afternoon here on the East Coast. You can see behind me right there with the tardy start. My apologies today, folks, but I was on a panel. Didn't know when the panel would end. It's the second time I've done the panel with this group called Bell Associates. A few of our viewers actually showed up there and were able to sit in on the Zoom session. So thanks for coming on. Ants was there, and maybe Chris Marie may have joined us as well. But thanks for being at that event. So talking about South Africa in particular, it was an interesting conversation with Ambassador Charles Ray, former U.S. ambassador to Zimbabwe, along with some other folks, Director of African Studies, I believe, at Howard University here in the U.S. Our South African colleague couldn't. He's South African, but the South African colleague from South Africa couldn't stay on air. I think load shedding kept affecting his connection. Welcome to the program on a Friday, February 16th, 2024. Dylan Combrick is here. Pierre Orban is back once again. And YouTube is doing its same thing where I'm getting delays in the broadcast. Let me get this over here, and I'll pause this in just a second here. There we go. All right, so now I shouldn't see. This just spins over here. It's very annoying. Pierre Orban. Monray Siebert's in from the Western Cape. Janet Liddy, South Africa. Hester Kotze, Joking Atheist. It is Friday, but it doesn't matter to me. I work 7 days a week. I don't really notice which day of the week it is. Tactical Michael's here. Says, what's up? How you doing, my Tactical Michael? Dan Hook is back. Jacques Vint. And Chris Marie is here. Gina Mullman. Vilma Erasmus. Sue Walsh. Hey, well, I don't always dress so well. It's very kind of you, Sue. You must just be tuning in where I'm not wearing the days I'm wearing nice clothing. Today I was in a professional panel with folks, and so I wore it, but oftentimes I'm wearing kit. But thank you for the kind compliments. I do clean up quite well, and that is a true statement. Thank you for that. And Crypto Noob says, love your work, Colonel. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate it. What kind of meat do priests eat every Friday? Joking Atheist, I'm not going to finish that joke. That's a bad, dirty dad joke. And so who else is here? Yeah, good to see you all on a Friday. My apologies for being tardy. I just double-checked to see if Ronaldo is on. Apparently he's not broadcasting now, so hopefully we'll get a large audience at this hour. We'd normally be wrapping up the program here in the next several minutes. But again, I started that panel at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and just finished at 12. So a 2-hour panel. Hopefully it enlightens some people. We talked about South Africa's upcoming elections. It was a very fascinating conversation. Lots to talk about today on Friday. I got a new hat, by the way. Some fellows from North Carolina were selling these hats yesterday, and I picked it up. The colors aren't quite right. These are supposed to be tan, not yellow, but I suppose it didn't have tan stitches, so it's close, but Gulf War. I'm not really sure what the stars are for. And then, of course, it says veteran on the front here, and it has, this is why I liked it, his veteran over here stitched into the hat. That's pretty cool. That's not an easy thing to do. So I really like that hat. So I picked it up yesterday for 20 Samoans. Yeah, that's right. I paid 20 smackaroos for this hat yesterday. Yeah, one of the rare times I actually had cash in my wallet, and so I paid them in cash. Yes, unlike Fannie Willis, I don't pay the people who work for me off in cash. We're going to talk about Fannie Willis, but tragic news out of Russia where opposition leader Navalny has died in prison after a morning walk. The 47-year-old opponent to Vladimir Putin is now dead, and this is disheartening for Russian opposition, not to mention patriots all over the world. this man who chose to stand up against Vladimir Putin, who was subsequently poisoned with radiation, and then voluntarily came back to Russia from Germany when frankly he should have stayed in Germany. What a courageous man to face the bogus charges against him. And there's wow, look at all these memberships. 10 of them by Garrett. Wow. So there you go. Who was that? I can't read who that was. That Skeptic got one. Vilma Erasmus, Light Rain, Mike, Dan. Oh, now it's really loud now. Vilma Erasmus, Dan, Laudine Monday, and Raymax, Mark Sayers, and Matthew Dixon. Where is our resident troll? He has been missing in action. Light Rain is here. Arbot is back. Welcome, Arbot. Yeah, and yeah, so I'll have to go through all those salutes here in a second. And Vilma says, thank you to Gert. Yeah, that's very nice. Gert Janssen van Rensburg. Remember that, folks? Where's Bram Janssen van Rensburg? Bram used to be here all the time. We had Gert, Leovin, Bram, and then I always said, and there's Tony Nage. Sorry, Tony, I missed that. Tony, somehow I missed that salute, but there you go. Tony, already there. There's Mike here in PA. Congratulations to you. And CB got her membership extended. When you have a membership already, I think what it does, it gives you another month for free. So it just adds it on. So whenever if you cancel, you'll still have a month left. But nobody cancels on this channel. Yeah, people cancel memberships all the time for financial reasons, or they're like, why am I doing this anymore? I got excited in the moment, sort of thing. So yeah, and we have a lot of gifted memberships and people don't stick with it. So Dan, all right, are we almost done? That's no, that's about halfway through. Raymax is here as well. So 39 people currently here on a Friday. Hein Velman says, just dropped in to say hi, need to run. Well, Hein, thanks for popping in. Sorry to see you go so quickly. Did I get you 2 videos today, Joking Atheist? Joking Atheist, I've been busy researching and working all morning and then doing 2-hour, I had to prep for a 2-hour presentation on a panel. So I have not read the email. I did see you sent me something, but I've not had time. Congratulations, Mark. Not had time to actually watch those videos. That's been my biggest challenge with events is keeping up on other people's social media. There's Matthew. It's not always possible. But hi, thank you for being here. Okay, pleasure and welcome to the new members, says Garrett. Okay, cool. Leovin says, always here, if only the news I trust, just busy working, so not typing. That's cool, Leovin. I know you're there. It's awesome. It's great to have both of those folks tune in and give me credit for 2 viewers. It always helps, so thanks. Well, let's get to some of the new. Menage a Qua's back. Were you in both Gulf Wars, early 90s? In the early 2000s, regardless. Thank you for yours. No, I was in the first Gulf War, not the second one. I never came down deployment because I was in Africa or working at the National Security Agency or the Defense Intelligence Agency and not available for deployment when that war started. And then during the duration of that war. But I was on the tag when I was in the National Security Agency to go to Afghanistan. In fact, I was supposed to go to Afghanistan, and it got kibosh was put on at last minute, so I never went to Afghanistan. So, yeah, but I have been to the first Gulf War. This is the original. The second one is not called it's not called Gulf War. It's called Operation Iraqi Freedom. So, yep. Hank Klopper's been a member for 31 months. He says, go Bulls. Well, the Bulls better win tomorrow at Ellis Park. I'll be covering the game tomorrow morning. 2 rugby games on Rugby Ascendant. Programming announcement tomorrow. First up, it's the Bulls traveling from Pretoria to Joburg to play the Lions at Ellis Park. That's 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, which would make it 3 p.m. South Africa time, if I'm correct, at the time it starts. And then at 10 o'clock, it's the Stormers on the road in Durban, down there placing the Sharks, who are in desperate situation. They actually think they can get to the playoffs. There's no way in God's green acre that the Sharks make it to the playoffs. Even if they win their remaining games, they're not going to get there. But they could perform well and upset the hopes of other teams like the Stormers. Menage a Qua. Ooh, Menage a Qua comes in at Master and Commander level. I didn't realize you were at that level. Thank you for that, Menage a Qua. That really does help. That does help. Yeah, no, first Gulf War, and then other combat tours and deployments, multiple ones. I was involved in Bosnia. I was involved in Kosovo campaign, plus some stuff in Africa. So, yeah, anyway, it's Friday. That's why we played Borjol on a Friday. And I hope everyone's well. It's been an eventful 3 weeks as we get through the middle of February already. Already, the middle of February. Where does the time go? Going glamping tomorrow. I'll be back on Thursday. Glamour camping. Never really did get the whole concept behind that. Glamping. Well, cool beans. Sad news for South Africa, where murder continues unabated under the African National Congress. Very sad situation indeed. The latest statistics from the Minister of Police, Rebecca Tilley, says 7,700 South Africans were murdered January, February. Wait a second. 3 months. What 3 months is this? Let's hang on a second. Oh, it's October to December, the fiscal year. Sorry, I was going to say. The Police Minister Beckett Seeley said that during the release of the third quarter crime statistics on Friday that between October and December, 7,710 people were murdered, an increase of 155 from the same period the previous year. Now, that's the ones they're aware of. People's bodies disappear all the time. There's missing people, and they never find them. It's disturbing and concerning that the number of people murdered during this period increased by 2.1%, leading to 155 more people murdered as compared to the same period. News 24 had previously reported there were 6,200 killed between January and March last year, with 6,900 between July and September. Wow, it's crazy what's going on here in South Africa, the violent crime and the lives taken prematurely. Well, Beckett Seeley also says that the massive backlog of hundreds of thousands of DNA tests is finally cleared. Now, I'm going to call BS. I seriously doubt this is a true statement. Seriously doubt this. So, after years of dealing with crippling DNA backlog, Police Minister Beckett Seeley has announced it's finally been cleared. He revealed this at the release of the crime statistics for the third quarter. He said during the same period last year, the backlog had been reduced by 99.3% to 1,600 from 251,000. Do you believe him? He gave an update, the briefing on Friday. He said today has been significant progress in the finalization rate of DNA cases and the eradication of the historic DNA backlog, which is now standing at 0 from 251,000 just 3 years ago. To further this, the expansion of the DNA lab in Port Elizabeth, which is opened by the president in August, has contributed immensely to the processing of more DNA samples in the country. Yay, but is anybody being prosecuted for that evidence they've now uncovered that they've been sitting on for years? Putin jailed a man who could reveal all his corruption and had him murdered. Not a perfect analogy, but yeah, okay. Just noticed it lapsed this morning and turned it back on. What's that, your membership, Menage a Trois? Thank you for that. Yep. All right. The News 24 has been running a story attacking the DA-led Pretoria or Tshwane municipality, saying that they're going to lose money, when in fact the Gauteng government, all the three major municipalities in Gauteng are in jeopardy of losing money, and the amount being reported by News 24 appears to be incorrect once again. Daily Maverick says shortchange the National Treasury threatens to halt more than R1 billion to Gauteng metros. Very unflattering photos of the colored gentleman and of the white gentleman, but the black lady gets a very complimentary photo there. Notice that. So, looking at this, Joburg could lose 1.2 billion rand that it's not spending. Now, there's the collapsed street, Bree Street there, that blew up from a gas pipeline or something in July last year. Ekurhuleni, 600 million rand at risk. And of course, this is why Tshwane, one of the reasons why it hasn't spent the money. And the Daily Maverick is honest. They report the reasons, unlike News 24, which covered that story up. The the service delivery attacks against city water tankers and rubbish removal vehicles torched by ANC agitators and the strikes that took place. But Tshwane, 600 million. All three metropolitans are in jeopardy of losing money. And here they're honest. The protracted municipal strike exacerbated. A 4-month-long municipal strike is one reason why Tshwane has not spent the money. There's no such excuse for Joburg or for Ekurhuleni. The DA's premier candidate for Gauteng province, Saleh Msimanga, claims that he was attacked. And of course, idiots, that's what we'll call them, idiots on social media attacked him personally. The little minions, the little flying monkeys for the opposition party, or for the main party and the other opposition party. The DA's premier candidate for Gauteng threatened to report the ANC to Electoral Commission of South Africa after he was attacked, allegedly by stone-wielding ANC members in Hammanskraal on Thursday. I've been to Hammanskraal. This is very disturbing. A livid Msimanga said he intended to open a case of malicious damage to property and intimidation after his vehicle was damaged in the attack. He went to Twitter and posted the video saying that ANC operatives were behind the attack. Election violence already beginning? Well, is it? We don't know. We'll have to see what the police report says, but certainly seems to be the case. His detractors claim he's just looking for attention. This is a historic moment. So claims the Democratic Alliance opposition party as it prepares for its party rally. It's manifesto, commie language there again. There you see the DA federal chairperson, Yvonne Meyer. DA is ready to host 15,000 supporters at its manifesto rally in Pretoria. According to federal chairperson Yvonne Meyer, the rally will transcend the boundaries of an event. Really? How so? Let's look forward to that. It marks a movement of unparalleled proportions with the largest mobilization effort in the history of the DA. Tens of thousands of DA supporters from nearly every corner of South Africa will participate in the march from Church Square to the Union Buildings, showcasing an unprecedented level of enthusiasm. They're expecting 15,000 supporters. Wouldn't it be awesome if 50,000 showed up? Wouldn't it be awesome? Even if you don't support the DA, show up to show your disgust with the ANC and participate in that. It'd be great. Well, the South African National Defense Force says we are fit for purpose. We've been in the Congo since 2013, and that means we're prepared. Never mind the fact there's no money for training. There's no money for new equipment. There's no money for fuel. There's no money for operations. And that's why they're in the DRC, to get money from the UN, from the money that the U.S. and others, China and the U.S., put in to pay peacekeepers so that the South African government can stay afloat, because they don't fund the South African National Defense Force. There is no money for training. It all goes to salaries. Yep, but they claim to be fit for purpose. Well, that gentleman in the white shirt and the Navy uniform is anything but fit. The others marching look to be pretty fit in their hideous camouflage pattern that the ANC communists adopted. South African National Defense Force believes its troops to be deployed in the volatile DRC are fit for purpose because they've been there for 11 years. SENDEF spokesperson Sifiwe Dlamini said the South African soldiers, having been part of the missions in DRC for more than a decade, are well equipped for deployment. No, they're not well equipped. They may be experienced, but they're not well equipped. The fact that you've been deployed doesn't mean you have any equipment. Wrong use of language. This is very poor. The Groblersdal situation continues to fester, with non-violent offenders remanded and a court intentionally not hearing a bail case so that they can remain in prison and be subject to potential murder and or sexual violence over the weekend. This is hideous for non-violent offenders for an offense that, according to many witnesses, never even occurred. I wasn't there. I can't state categorically what did or did not happen, but the treatment of some South Africans before a court of law compared to other South Africans, people accused of murdering and torturing Brendan Horner got a $34 bail and got out. Someone is accused of pushing a police officer with his elbow and has been in prison for a month. Equal justice before the law, there's no such thing in South Africa. Racial marginalization of minorities is the order of the day. The lawyer for two men arrested in connection to the assault in Groblersdal told the court today that there was no evidence his clients committed an assault or instigated violence. Advocate Pete Pistorius for right-wing activist Willem Petzer and TV Wessels argued in the Groblersdal Magistrates Court that his clients were merely onlookers when a scuffle broke out between police and members of the Bidde-Eindes. They were never involved in any scuffle or any assault. Pistorius told the court that Petzer and Wessels had surrendered themselves to police Monday as a sign of respect for the criminal justice and bail system, which clearly doesn't respect them. He argued his clients are not members of the Bidde-Eindes and asked for Skansana to investigate this further. Petzer, along with Devin Hofmeyer, Francois van der Merwe, and Wessels have been charged with assault and public violence. In the charge sheet, the state alleges that van der Merwe unlawfully intentionally incited a group of 100 people to cross a crowd management line and assault police officials. Skansana told the court on Friday that van der Merwe was also the convener of the march. Their mission was to bring the town to a standstill using tractors. But Pistorius argued there was no evidence linking his clients to van der Merwe's conduct. There's no evidence that accused number 2 and number 4, Petzer and Wessels, with the greatest respect, aligned themselves with the conduct of accused number 1, van der Merwe. And they were merely onlookers. But they've been targeted because they're active in defending Afrikaner rights. Yeah, that's correct, Henk Kulper. 4 nonviolent offenders kept in jail, but Malema can sing Kill the Boer in front of thousands, and people are murdered as a consequence of it. Yep. Failing sewage, another... Well, is this one ANC or DA or a combination of the two? Failing sewage treatment plants pollute False Bay. Ugh, thank goodness I didn't go walking in those waters. Of Cape Town's 23 sewage treatment works, 15 failed to treat the sewage acceptable standards before releasing it into the environment. As a result, at least 382 million liters of untreated or partially treated sewage is released into Cape Town's rivers and streams, 216 million liters of which goes into False Bay every single day. 216 million liters of poo water dumped into False Bay. Are you eating fish from False Bay? I'm not. Poo water. Botswana forecast an economic rebound, but their budget focuses on some infrastructure. Botswana sees a recovery in economic growth this year and plans to increase spending on infrastructure development in a stimulus budget, according to its finance minister, Peggy Sarema. South African country's economy was hit by a decline in demand for diamonds last year. They generate 30% of its revenue and 70% of foreign exchange earnings. So they're expecting to see a rebound this year. We shall see. Well, one way they might rebound, at least according to government loving their socialist agenda, is that Air Botswana will get another bailout. The failing carrier gets another bailout. Air Botswana will receive 121 million pula, or about $9 million from the government, as part of a development expenditure in the new draft budget. Yep, that compares to $12 million they got last year. So $20 million to keep Air Botswana afloat. Yep, Air Botswana has been unprofitable for years, continues to await privatization and a strategic partner. The airline operates 2 company-owned ATR 72s and 1 company-owned ERJ 170, according to Swiss Aviation Fleet's module. So Air Botswana being carried by the state yet again. Botswana's opposition parties cry foul when Masisi's government looks to Zimbabwe to benchmark their elections. Are you serious? Botswana's coalition of opposition parties has slammed the country's electoral body for traveling to Zimbabwe to benchmark election procedures, the process by which performance of a system is assessed for success and emulation. Botswana will hold its general election later this year, and officials of the country's independent electoral commission have been criticized for choosing the example of Zimbabwe, a country that has held disputed polls since the year 2000. Wow. So, Masisi's government is not content with corruption and pervasive theft and demonizing his predecessor, Kama. They want to emulate Zimbabwe's stolen elections. Good God. You cannot make this up. Zambia has raised its key repo rate. There you go, folks. Zambia's central bank raised its benchmark lending rate for the 5th meeting in a row, citing a further deterioration in the inflation outlook. The bank has raised its policy by 150 basis points to 12.5%. Ouch. 12.5%. Rising inflation is mainly the result of persistent depreciation of the kwacha and effects of bad weather on food prices, the central bank said. That is not good for Zambians. 12.5% is the prime lending rate. Oof. Malawian police harassing local journalists and for the government broadcaster, nonetheless. Wow. Malawi police seized journalist equipment over fake Facebook account. Grayson Chapita, former NBC Malawian Broadcast Corporation employee, says police found nothing when they searched his phones and laptop. Police in Malawi have seized mobile phones and laptops from at least 14 journalists working for the state-run Malawi Broadcasting Corporation. The journalists are suspected of running a fake Facebook account bearing the corporation's name, where they allegedly posted false and anti-government stories. Press freedom groups have faulted the police for invading the journalists' privacy. In the process of investigations, we secured a search warrant in the court of law, which we've used to confiscate electronic gadgets from suspects, and the gadgets include phones and laptops. Wow. But journalists are being targeted by the government. This is a bad sign. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, protesters burn U.S. and Belgian flags and target Western embassies. Police in the DRC fired tear gas back on Monday to disperse protesters who burned tires and U.S. and Belgian flags near the Western embassies and UN offices in Kinshasa. Protesters seized on a new tactic by targeting embassies, say the West supports neighboring Rwanda, which is accused of backing the Tutsi-led M23 rebellion, whose advance is threatening Goma. Well, get stuffed. Cut off all assistance, aid, food assistance to the DRC. Let them go without. They're going to burn our flags. We're not going to be insulted. So why is France revoking automatic citizenship for Mayotte, a small island in the Indian Ocean off the coast of Africa? France announced its constitutional amendment aimed at curbing immigration in its overseas territory near Madagascar. The move has been welcomed by the far right but opposed by socialists, surprise, surprise, who say birthright citizenship rule is non-negotiable. No, it is negotiable. It should not be the case, and the same here in America. Leftist leaders fear the constitutional amendment will open Pandora's box, as the far right will try to emulate it in mainland France. That's why they oppose it. So, where is Mayotte? Well, it's one of 5 overseas departments of France located in the Indian Ocean off the East African coast. And there you see Mozambique, Madagascar, and it's sandwiched in just southeast of the Comoros. But it is a French territory, and the islanders have French citizenship traditionally. Seychelles has dropped a witchcraft case against the main opposition. Wow. Seychelles dropped witchcraft charges against opposition's Patrick Hermini. He's no longer facing witchcraft charge after prosecutors dropped the case against him. He had always denied the accusations, and speaking outside court on Thursday, described them as a malicious action. Police said the case relates to the discovery of 2 bodies exhumed from a cemetery on the island of Mahe. Mr. Hermani plans to run the 2025 presidential election under the banner of the United Seychelles Party. It's an abuse of power, he says, by the sitting president. No doubt it is. Accusing of witchcraft. Can you imagine such a stupid thing? Well, Haiti says they're working out the long-awaited Kenyan police deployment to Haiti to curb gang violence. Haiti's government announced on Wednesday that it was working on an official agreement with Kenyan officials to secure the long-awaited deployment of police force from the East African country. And you may recall, of course, here on Chris Wyatt Reports, we told you that a Kenyan court had prevented that deployment just a few weeks ago, and now the government's trying to work their way around the court ruling. Senegal in more trouble as the election is delayed by Macky Sall. Senegal plunges further in unknown after vote delay is overturned. Senegal plunged further in the unknown on Friday after top constitutional court overturned President Macky Sall's contentious decision to postpone this month's presidential election. Wow. His staff told the media they had taken note of the decision without questioning the verdict, which cannot be appealed. His last-minute move to postpone the February 25th poll triggered Senegal's worst crisis in decades, sparking widespread outcry and prompting deadly protest in what is often seen as a bastion of stability in coup-prone West Africa. Wow. Parliament later approved the delay until December 15th, but the court says no, it must be done now. Macky Sall cannot delay the vote. Civil society groups take Senegalese government to court over the internet shutdowns. So as part of delaying the elections, they shut down the internet. The case was brought before ECOWAS court as about the government's shut down the internet in June, July, and August last year during widespread protests against the conviction of Senegalese opposition leader Ousmane Sonko. Yep, Macky Sall has turned into a fascist totalitarian tyrant at the end of his term, and that's sad. He could have had a good legacy or a decent legacy, but he chose to become another African tyrant. Ghana's president shuffles his cabinet, replacing the finance minister. Nana Akufo-Addo replaced his finance minister in a reshuffle. The office of President Nana Akufo-Addo said that Ofori Atta would be replaced by Mohamed Amin Adam. He's currently the Minister of State at the Finance Ministry and previously Deputy Energy Minister responsible for petroleum. And didn't give a reason for the change. Inflation, of course, rose over 50% in 2022, and the local CD currency plummeted. At one time, you got thousands of CD for $1. I remember having an entire stack of CD notes, the new CD, not even the old one, sitting in the center of my Toyota Land Cruiser in the storage column there, stacked up on top, which I needed to pay for petrol. Yep. Well, the lunatics in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger not only are leaving the ECOWAS group, but they're going to form their own confederation. Yeah, this is going to go real well. A confederation of states in West Africa. Yeah, good luck with that. Junta-led Sahel states confirmed plan to form a tri-state confederation. Junta-led Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger plan to proceed with the establishment of confederation, the Malian Foreign Ministry said Thursday, as the three countries deepen ties via an alliance that threatens broader West African integration. The neighbors in the impoverished Sahel region announced in January they would quit the Economic Community of West African States. At a meeting in the Burkinabe capital of Ouagadougou, the three ministers confirmed a joint commitment to withdraw from ECOWAS without delaying continued cooperation under a pact known as the Alliance of Sahel States, AES. Yeah, that'll last about 5 minutes. Let's see. The African Union supports the ANC's ludicrous case against Israel for genocide. The African Union, of course, ignoring Tigray, Cabo Delgado, Niger, Mali, Mauritania, Burkina Faso, Central African Republic, Somalia, all the chaos on the continent they're ignoring while endorsing this ludicrous case against Israel. According to Moussa Faki Mahamat, who is the leader, the chairperson of the administrative part of the African Union. Wow. The Israeli delegation was banned on Wednesday from entering AU headquarters in Addis. Because we all know that diplomacy works best when you don't talk to the people you have an issue with. So the AU's solution to encouraging Israel to change its position is to ban its officials from entering the AU. Get stuffed, African Union. I've worked there. You people are a joke. Absolute joke. Well, Greece has legalized same-sex marriages, the first Orthodox country to do so. Wow, Christian Orthodox. Greece's parliament approved a bill allowing same-sex civil marriage on Thursday, a landmark decision for supporters of lesbian, gay, bi, and transsexual rights. I really don't know what that has to do with TB. I get for gays, yeah. Anyway, it was greeted with cheers by onlookers in parliament and dozens Dozens gathered in the streets of Athens. It's the first Orthodox Christian country one of the first to allow such unions. It's a historic moment, said Stella Belia, the head of the same-sex parents group Rainbow Families. The bill was approved by 176 lawmakers in the 300-seat parliament and will become law when it's published in the official government gazette. Wow, very important step for human rights. A very important step for Greek society, said 40-year-old Nikos Nikolidis, a historian who joined a rally in front of the bill ahead of the vote. He and dozens of other supporters of that outside of Parliament. Well, the grifter-in-chief Volodymyr Zelensky is on another begging tour of Europe. This time he's visiting states such as Germany and France, going to Berlin and Paris to beg for more money to continue his war. Yep. President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine is making a whirlwind trip through Berlin and Paris to bid to shore up European backing at a critical moment for his country's fight against Russia, with U.S. support wavering and Ukraine desperately in need of more arms. Yes, some more Ukrainians can die at the hands of incompetent leadership. Well, the White House confirms that the Russians are developing an anti-satellite weapon in violation of treaty. Surprise, surprise. Russia is pursuing an anti-satellite capability that represents a serious concern but doesn't present an active threat to American safety, the Biden regime said yesterday after declassifying intelligence at the behest of a member of Congress. The system is still in development, said Rear Admiral retired John Kirby, spokesman for the National Security Council. There's no immediate threat to anyone's safety. It's not an active capability and has not yet been deployed. But it's under development. Well, Ohio Congressman Mike Turner, who's on the Intelligence Committee in the House, scared the entire world by saying that Russia has a weapon just a couple days ago. And now we know what it is. Once again, that lead story, Alexei Navalny, Russian opposition leader, has died in the gulag in an Arctic jail. Russia's most prominent opposition leader, Alexei Navalny, collapsed and died today after a walk at the Polar Wolf Arctic penal colony where he was serving a long jail term. The 47-year-old former lawyer rose to prominence more than a decade ago with blogs on what he said was a vast corruption and opulence among the crooks and thieves of Russia's elite. The Federal Penitentiary Service of the Yamalo-Nenets Autonomous District said in a statement that Navalny felt unwell after a walk at the IK-3 penal colony in Karp, 1,200 miles northeast of Moscow in the Arctic Circle. He lost consciousness almost immediately, and they claim that all necessary resuscitation measures were carried out, but Navalny is dead. The murder of political opponents in Russia. Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny dies in prison. This from NBC. Navalny was poisoned with a military nerve agent while on a business trip to Russia in 2020, an attempt on his life that he blamed directly on Putin, and spent his final years behind bars as a Russian leader, reshaped the country to rally behind his war in Ukraine. News of his death, which comes as the Kremlin is preparing to orchestrate another election victory for Putin in March, drew condemnation from the West. He was serving a 30-and-a-half-year jail sentence when he died. He went missing in Russia's penal system in December, eventually turning up in a high-security penal colony in a remote town above the Arctic Circle. Russia's Federal Prison Service, in a statement that Navalny had died after feeling unwell following a walk, said, on February 16, 2024, in penal colony number 3, convict A.A. Navalny felt unwell, almost immediately losing consciousness. The prison service where Navalny was moved. Yeah, anyway, convict. Only in a corrupt fascist state like Russia is he a convict. The United States government will soon be spending more paying back our debt, interest alone, than we spend on national defense, courtesy of the inept governance from Republicans and Democrats since 1971. Burying us in debt, we'll now be paying more interest alone, not even the principal, than we pay for national defense. Higher Treasury yields snowball into a $1.1 trillion of additional interest. Treasury yields have sprung to multi-year highs, forcing the U.S. government to pay a lot more in interest and putting pressure on the budget. The U.S. government is expected to pay an additional $1.1 trillion in interest over the coming decade, according to the Congressional Budget Office's latest estimates. Interest costs are on pace to surpass defense this year as one of the largest government expenses in the budget. The largest expense with $2.5 trillion in expenditures is Social Security, quickly followed by Medicare, a program that didn't exist 60 years ago, at over $2 trillion. That is already nearly 3 times as large as the entire federal budget 20 years ago. And then the net interest in a few years, this year, will surpass defense, approaching it's over $800 billion. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. This is why the country is collapsing. This is why the dollar is not stronger. This is why It's not capitalism. It is crony, corrupt politics that are causing this. Speaking of crony, corrupt politics, with everything on the line, Fani Willis delivered raw testimony, says the New York Times. Yeah, she was an ass, an arrogant ass. And look at her pointing. Disrespectful. Look how interested the judge is. The judge is not interested in what she had to say. Fani Willis walked unaccompanied through the front door of a Fulton County courtroom on Thursday in a bright magenta dress and announced she was ready to testify that she was interrupting her lawyer, who at the very moment was trying to convince the judge that she should not have to testify at all. "I'm going to go," Ms. Willis said, and so she did. For 3 hours yesterday, Fani Willis engaged in the fight of her life from the witness stand to try to salvage the case of her life, the prosecution of former President Trump. In a raw performance, the 52-year-old presented herself as a woman in full, by turns combative and serene, focused and discursive. At one point, she declared her preference for Grey Goose vodka over wine. Her language toggled between casual, $1,000 was a G, and precise. On numerous occasions, she prefaced her statements with variations of the phrase, "I want to be very clear." What a pathetic performance. Fani Willis, an embarrassment. This person actually has a law degree. Well-known and famous race hustler. That's right. Jim Clyburn is stepping down from his leadership role. The octogenarian race hustler is stepping down. The man has done more to harm race relations in this country than anybody, with the exception perhaps of Barack Hussein Obama. The influential, long-serving lawmaker has said he would still run for re-election. Of course he will. He loves the gravy train. South Carolina's Representative James Clyburn said he would step down from House Democratic leadership, but will seek re-election in the fall. He's represented South Carolina for 17,000 years. Actually, no, since 1993. The 83-year-old race hustler is a longtime member of leadership and the highest-ranking demon rat in South Carolina. Now holds the number 4 position as House Assistant Democratic Leader, and the race hustler will step aside to be replaced, no doubt, by race hustlers like Jamal Bowman, Mr. Sparky, who pulls fire alarms. Well, CNN has some takeaways from the Fani Willis testimony. Yeah. Stunning testimony in Georgia. The Georgia election subversion case against Donald Trump and 14 of his allies took a stunning turn Thursday when 2 top prosecutors testified on earth. Yeah, well, she was defiant on the stand. She was arrogant, actually. Arrogant and defiant. People said her dress was on backwards. I don't think it was, but it is odd how it zipped up in the front. Who cares about her dress? I'm not on trial, but you are, Fani. You really much are. Look, there's Aaron Burnett. Yeah. She tore into Trump's team, yeah. Wade and Willis is described using cash reimbursements. "I don't need anybody to foot my bills. Only my daddy has paid my bills." Good Lord. Yeah, anyway, it's a disaster of epic proportions for the fake, bogus racketeering case against the former president. The disgraceful conduct of attorneys in Georgia is being exposed left and right. The Not Stupid Party. Centrist Joe Manchin, Democrat turncoat, floats turncoat rhino Mitt Romney as potential running mate on a third-party ticket this year. Senator Joe Manchin said Thursday that if he runs for president, his first choice for running mate would be Senator Mitt Romney. Why not Liz Cheney while you're at it? Good God. Oh, Joe Manchin is out of touch with reality, folks. He's out of touch with reality. The insanely wealthy and powerful. Remember Anthony Weiner, who shared pictures with little girls? Remember Anthony Weiner, the congressman who went to prison? Married to Uma Abedin, whose parents had an office in the same floor in a London office building as the Muslim Brotherhood. Yeah, nothing to see there. Uma Abedin, who had no security clearance yet possessed classified information given to her illegally by her girlfriend, Hillary Clinton. Uma Abedin is swinging another way now. She is hanging out and dating the son of George Soros. Insanely wealthy and powerful. Uma Abedin's new beau, Alex Soros, is everything she cares about. Once again, a Muslim and a Jew, proving that it's all bogus lies about them. The elites pair up with whoever they want. They don't care about ethnicity. They don't care about origin. They don't care about faith. She's a Jew. He's a Jew. She's a Muslim. Yeah, Uma Abedin, the beleaguered longtime aide Hillary Clinton and ex-wife of disgraced former Congressman Anthony Weiner, posted a photograph of herself Wednesday with her new Valentine, Alex Soros, the son of billionaire scumbag Alex Soros. Political and Society insiders told Page Six they were caught by surprise by the Instagram post that showed Abedin, 47, and Alex, who's just 38. She's robbing the cradle, cuddling in a Parisian restaurant, complete with red roses on the table. Ah, isn't that so sweet? Leftist, hateful people having a lovely Valentine's. Congratulations. Travis Kelce, the tight end who makes millions of dollars playing for the Kansas City Chiefs in the National Football League and who is knocking boots with none other than Taylor Swift. The two of them are an item. Travis Kelce is using tax credits to become a film producer from the Green Energy Initiative. Wow. Green energy tax credits go to the rich. Yep. Travis Kelce, a tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs and Taylor Swift's boyfriend, has made his debut as an executive producer in the film sector with help from President Biden. The football star is backing the indie film My Dead Friend Zoe while leveraging renewable energy credits provided by the 2022 Inflation Increase Act. Yeah. A dark comedy will premiere at a film festival stars Ed Harris, Morgan Freeman, Sonequa Martin Green, and Natalie Morales. Green energy credits. So the rich taking care of their friends. That's the bottom line here, folks. The elites taking care of their friends. That's the news for today. We got through it quickly because we are a late start. Let me get back to see who's in the chat here and what they've got to say. Where we at? Okay, 12:30. Impressive doing DNA research extremely difficult without electricity. Well, yeah, it is. DNA, I'm not sure why DNA research is mentioned there. South Africa become the Congo crisis, 60s corporate fight for the mines. Beckett Silly dumping evidence for testing in the bin doesn't qualify as backlog worked off, says Monterey. I would agree. I don't know that he did that, but wouldn't be surprised. Realistically, what is the chance of ANC being removed as majority leaders? Well, they're done. They're not the majority leaders. They are under 50%. They will not get 50%. Whether they can find coalition partners is the question, and I think they probably will. So, yeah, there you go. The opposition has not galvanized the voters. They started too late. They should have started much sooner. What's your take on Eric Prince suggesting to recolonize African countries on the grounds of law and order? The UN money, I guess, explains why they're going to Congo. I think Eric Prince is crazy. Recolonize South Africa? Nah, that's not a healthy venture. How about we protect the borders of our own countries and stop the colonization of our countries by criminal alien invaders? I think that's a more pressing issue for South Africa and for the United States and all of Europe. Yep. What else? Didn't South Africa almost poison troops with rotten food because... No, I don't know that story, RJ. That may be true. I haven't heard it. Why just have the crunchies gone soft? That's okay, Ashley. We're all a bit late. We started at quarter after this past hour. Yeah, we just passed the top of the hour now because I was doing a presentation with some folks from Bell Associates. Ulrich Fenter's back. Good to see you again. The great free democracy of Zimbabwe. Yeah, that's who Botswana is turning to for examples on how to run elections. Not a good answer. Not a good answer. Myra Page is here. Garrett Gillich, CB, Charles Van Altson, DeBaram. I really like yesterday's Midnight Owls. Like the scenery of South Africa. Yeah, Myra, it's kind of fun. For those who didn't catch it, on at Real Chris Wyatt, my original channel, which was restored, but they keep hemorrhaging viewers. I'm down to just over 20,000 subscribers now. We did a Night Owls over there, and I went through photos and videos of my trip to South Africa in January and February last year. We only got through January. We really hadn't got to February yet. They'll let the Greeks always buggered around a bit. Ooh, we're not going to get into that one, Slippery Pickle. The Russians want to shoot down Starlink satellites to hamper Ukraine. You might be right about that. Yep. Brian Lawrenson's here. Slippery Pickle. Dylan Kumbrick, already mentioned. Charles. And heads up, now's a good time to fill up fuel. Reserves are depleted, and there's going to be a small wait for the tanker to come past. When the news reports it, it's too late. Good point, Slippery Pickle. I filled up yesterday. Clyburn hasn't done anything for African Americans in his own constituency. That's correct, Menage a Trois. And he's a race hustler. Everything is about race. He blames everything, all the he's like the ANC Jan van Riebeck crowd. Oh, racism. Dude, you've been in freaking Congress for 31 years. What have you accomplished? Nothing. Just like Joe Biden in the Senate. Yeah, these people are such frauds. And they got to be exposed for that. Marilyn Brogenshaw is here. Hello, Marilyn. Patrick, welcome to you. And Lodi Monday's here. The African Marxists now can see rubbish dump life they have. Yep. Al Sharp and Jesse Jack come to mind when listening to race baiters. Yeah, well, they definitely are. Definitely are. Power is out for 2.5 hours. That sucks. Joe, shameful display by Parliament past 2 days. Shameful by DA later. What's shameful, Joe? What's shameful about John Steenhuisen's comments in Parliament? I didn't watch the parliamentary debate, so please share with us. No, George Soros is not Greek. He's Hungarian Jew. The Soros family comes from Hungary. Joe, what did Steenhuisen say? If you're talking about the debate on the State of the Nation address, I don't know what Steenhuisen said, but I will say this. I did see his comments immediately afterwards. I watched the DA video that came out after he left Parliament, after Ramaphosa ran his pathetic, sad campaign speech rather than give a State of the Nation address. I did see that. That was pretty good speech, but I didn't see what he said in Parliament. So please share with us what the issue was, Joe. We are curious. Inquiring minds want to know, Joe, or did you just pop in to say that and you've gone? Yeah, so please let us know, Joe, what it is. I noticed we went from 60 to 59 viewers. I don't know if that was Joe or someone else, but feel free to hit that like button, folks. Ooh, it'll make you feel better.
That was easy.
Oh, yeah. Get a little release of endorphins for pushing that button. There you go. Somebody just did it. No water for 3 days, Johannesburg North. Well, there you go, Steve. That's there you go. That's what you get from the ANC not finishing the Highlands Water Project, which was started by the National Party. And the first phase of it was completed through the Free State, bringing water from Lesotho into Gauteng. And then the ANC never did the rest of the project. Too busy, taking care of their personal needs rather than meeting the needs of constituents in South Africa. No water for 3 days. That sucks. Please don't take offense that since you have no water, I'm going to be drinking some iced tea now. I need to quaff my thirst. Soros' father was a Nazi sympathizer, and also purportedly, I don't have evidence of it, but media is endlessly reported that he turned in Jews so they could be taken off the concentration camps or executed. I don't know if that's true. It's what they say. Friends, once a month, reset the bell to personal and then reset to all. Oh, you're talking about notifications here on the channel. Yeah, because YouTube is kind of nasty about that. It looks like Joe may still be here. Joe, please tell us what Steenhuisen... I'm curious now. Curious minds want to know. I'm not calling you out. I'm just asking for what you saw because I didn't see it. Hey, Erica, welcome. Welcome. Yeah, so it's Friday once again, folks. Used to be a song by... What's that guy's name? It's Friday, just got paid. I can't remember his name right now. Had one song. A song called Friday, just got paid. It was a really good. It was a pretty good song for its time back in the 1990s. Wow, folks, it's crazy how fast time passes by and the things that you just do you realize it's been nearly 50 years since Dancing Queen came out? 1976, I think it was. Wow. Oh, there you go. Joe says I can share a link and Pro DNA. This is not very. Joe, you won't be able to share the link because YouTube prevents you from posting. You'll paste it in there, but it won't show up. YouTube won't let you paste it unless you're a moderator. But if you're just talking about it, that's what I'm asking. You're talking about his State of the Nation response in Parliament. Then I can go watch that on my own. We don't need the link. We can find that. In fact, I had it open, but I had to close it because I had too much RAM being consumed by Firefox. It was eating up all my RAM, so I had to shut down my browser where I was going to look at it yesterday, but I just didn't get around to it. It was a busy day as usual here at Camp Wyatt. Yep. So, but thank you for that, Joe. So you're a DA supporter and you weren't happy. Well, look, the parties, as I said in the Bella Associates, I think Chris Marie was there. Chris Marie, any feedback? I don't see Ants here. Ants watched it too. He might have gone off to bed by now. But any feedback, Chris Marie, from the panel discussion that I was part of? I talked about this in the panel discussion, that the opposition is not, what did I say? I said galvanized voters, but I said something else. They have not coalesced the opposition parties, the DA, in their Moonshot Pact, which is now the multi-party charter for South Africa. It's gotten a number of smaller parties, but it really needs to get some progress. No one talks about it. It's not in the press. It's hardly ever mentioned, and that's the problem with it. And even when they had the conference, there were dozens of journalists there, but the stories were brief, one day and they're done, and it's over. We spent 3 days there, and there are barely any stories published on it in radio, in print, or on the internet. African Marxist Farm Program, 60 years later, still a total failure. Yep. Well, we saw what happened in Tanzania. Mzee Julius Nyerere warned Mugabe and others when they got control of their countries not to take and do the same mistake that Nyerere did in Tanzania by collectivizing agriculture and stealing land from people. It was a complete disaster. Tanzania was set back 3 or 4 decades in economic development because of Julius Nyerere's foolish mistakes. To his credit, after decades of failure, he recognized his failure and he changed his position. as he left government. But Tanzania today is a very much stunted economy because of Julius Nyereri's shift to socialism. Socialism doesn't work. It does not work. Well, it's a red and blue jumper. There you go. See the blue streak in it there? Thank you very much. What's your take on the tech industry here in the USA? The tech industry here in the USA has been infiltrated and dominated by hate-wanking leftists, and it has, I think, retarded the development. We have fallen behind in so many areas where we should be ahead, and we have not exceeded in places we should exceed, because instead of having a rainbow coalition of the best minds, the most innovative entrepreneurs, today's tech industry is thoroughly dominated by scumbag leftist hate-wanking shitballs who undermine development for political agendas. It's the truth. That's the truth. That's the bottom line. What innovative new products have come from Microsoft, Facebook, Google? What? Nothing. Instagram wasn't made by Facebook. They bought it. The Oculus VR headsets weren't made by Facebook. They bought it from someone else. And then they just mess it up. Who is leading tech innovation? Nobody. None of these companies. It's depressing and disappointing. They're pouring billions into AI and getting nowhere for the most part, and they're producing no new compelling products for consumers. Yep. So I'm Parliament, and you'll get it. Like I said, anti-state, but the DA acted very shamefully. Come on, Joe, give us a couple. You've teased the palate. We're hungry for information. What did he do? I mean, it's okay to be anti-ANC, but you don't have to be ANC. You just have to show pictures of sewage in the streets of Port Elizabeth. You just have to show pictures of destroyed informal settlements illegally squatting in riverbeds in KZN. You just have to show photos of darkness. I mean, the photograph I used to put up here on the screen, let me see if it's still here. You can see the impact of this. Where's it at? It's under wallpaper. Let me see. Cape Town at night. There we go. Let me turn my camera off and see if I got it right there. That's not it. Okay, hang on a second. There you go. That photograph right there. Look at that photograph. In that photograph, you will see in the bottom of it, on the right-hand side, in a kind of like a Pac-Man shape coming around, a very dark area. That area is dark not because it's a park, not because there's forest or trees there, but because of load shedding. Now, there are lights there. That's because people have expensively put in their own generators and their own systems to store battery power to store electricity when Escom fails. But this is approaching Cape Town, coming in from OR Tambo to Cape Town International last year when I came in. Look at that. It's sunset. No freaking lights. No freaking lights. That's all you have to do is show stuff like that and show just how incompetent the ANC is. I mean, that's the bottom line. That is the bottom line here, folks. You don't have to attack the ANC. So, yeah. Erica says the DA is worrying her more and more. DA and Freedom Front Plus are traitors. How are Freedom Front Plus traitors to you, Brian? Tell me how. Now I want to hear this because it's very interesting. Microsoft just kept releasing newer version of Windows. That's pretty much it. Yep, they didn't develop Word. They bought it. They didn't develop Excel. They bought it. They developed Front Page, which has disappeared now. That was the web hosting software I used to use. It was very complicated. Yep. Yeah, the DA is worrying some people. So I think the DA leadership is, like the ANC leadership, whistling past the cemetery. The IFP is galvanizing. Action SA is galvanizing. EFF is galvanizing. I'm not sure what's going on with Freedom Front Plus, and I'm curious why you say that they've betrayed South Africa. Please tell me that. I appreciate the input, guys. It's a new cap. Yes, it's a new cap. You were late to the broadcast, Erica. I picked this up yesterday for $20. One problem is that these colors shouldn't be yellow. They should be tan, but I guess they didn't have tan thread. So anyway, but I like this veteran stenciled on the side here. It's embroidered here. It's very nice. And there you go. So it's a new one. Yep. Anyway, so yeah. People seem to be making random statements without clarifying them. Yeah, thank you, Charles. That's exactly what I'm trying to get at here. You know, it doesn't contribute to the conversation. Just say bad. Biden bad. Biden evil. Orange man bad is my candidate. I'm voting Trump regardless. Why? Well, I like Trump's foreign policy. I like Trump's national security policies. I like Trump's economic policies. I wish that he would tackle Social Security, but He's not in office right now. I wish that he would tackle Medicare and Medicaid. I wish that he would shut down the borders and get control of them so only legitimate visitors and immigrants can come to this country. These criminals stay out. And I would like to see him deport all these people who violate our laws, who have no business being here, instead of suckling off the teat and driving down the wages of low-income and middle-income Americans. So there's an explanation. The are completely uninspiring, as far as I'm concerned, ANC light, says Marilyn. Which would augur well for the argument that Roman Kabanak made last year that the DA is likely to team up with the ANC. That's a pretty scary thought, isn't it? That's a pretty scary thought, if it's true. Yep. Normalerweise ein Merlot, aber mein Geschmack richtet nach Merlot Cabernet Sauvignon Petit Verdot. Oh, okay. All right, talking about wine. Okay. DRC was the second richest country in Africa in 1960. Belgium's left. Then what happened? Well, Jan, Argentina was one of the top 5 economies in the world in 1930. And look at what a basket case became because of socialists under Perón, the Peronists who destroyed Argentina. Budget speech is going to be an absolute crap show. It will be. It'll be a joke, to say the least. The DA will lose most of its support if it does. If it does what? If it does what? The DAF is part of the World Economic Forum, enough said. No, it's not, but they may have views that align with the World Economic Forum. Again, the DA is not a conservative party. I've said that the only conservative parties out there are the ACDP and the Freedom Front Plus, arguably. You can make a case that there's others, but those are the only 2 major conservative parties in South Africa. Why is DA ANC scary? We've had just ANC all these years. Because it'll be just like Zimbabwe. I've talked about this before, R1. In Zimbabwe, 2008, Mugabe lost the race for president. He was no longer the president, and he simply refused to leave office. Rather than force action or to take action against them with sanctions or something else or shutting down the borders, SADC forced the winning party to be part of a coalition, and they created a useless post of prime minister, which had been abolished by the 1988 Constitution, and Mugabe had gone from being prime minister to president until 2017 when he was ousted. But when he lost the election in 2008, he just stayed in office. And so SADC forced the Movement for Democratic Change under Morgan Tsvangirai to form a coalition government, and the MDC was handed the finance portfolio and a couple minor portfolios, while the ZANU-PF retained the police, the Central Intelligence Organization, they retain the military, and they retain all the national security apparatus, as well as everything that really had political control. And they continued to steal rapaciously. Despite that, Tendai Mbeki restored fiscal responsibility by bringing in the dollar as an alternate currency, as the currency of exchange, and the economy recovered. And it was a disaster, an absolute disaster, because the MDC got blamed for things they didn't do. They had no political control. Their members of parliament were assaulted, raped, murdered, disappeared, intimidation, because ZANU-PF controlled the government. So when there is a coalition between the ANC and the DA, you will see a continuation of the same garbage you see today, just with some light moderation. You will see greedy ANC members of parliament still get most of the plush prime portfolios. They'll control the police. They'll control justice. They might not control finance. That might fall to the DA. So it's not going to be a good outcome for the country. What was a South African veteran militia group called that kicked butt in Africa a while back? There was no veteran militia group that kicked butt. There was a group known as Umkhonto we Sizwe, MK, the Spear of the Nation, which was the armed resistance formed by Nelson Mandela before he was arrested and tried at Rivonia in 1961. 61? Yeah, 62. Mandela founded Umkhonto we Sizwe, which was a joke. It had some operatives that set off bombs, murdering civilians, and destroyed some minor infrastructure in South Africa during the struggle years. And it went into the bush pretending to be a military organization, fighting with the MPLA and UNITA, the MPLA and SWAPO against South Africans. But the 2,500 total that they put in the bush, they abused them. They murdered their own operatives, accusing them of being collaborators, in a place called Quattro, and a very good book written by a former ANC MK member called Quattro, exposing the crimes of the ANC. So there was no ANC armed group that ever kicked butt. It's a total joke. They were nothing. Executive Outcomes is not an ANC group. Executive Outcomes is a former SADF It's an organization that was comprised of former South African Defense Force members who were involved in coups in African governments and provided security services. It no longer exists. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. I misread your question, RJ. You said South African veteran. I thought you were talking about the modern era. You're talking about, yeah, okay. So my apologies. Yeah, you asked a question and executive outcomes. Yeah, executive outcomes, correct. MK was a joke during the border conflict. Most of the time they got nailed before they ever got into the country. Exactly. No, you did mention ANC, but you weren't specific about time frame. So when I think of veterans groups today, I'm not thinking about executive outcomes because that's not a veterans group. That is a corporation that was founded by SADF veterans and participated in security services across Africa. So my mistake in misunderstanding your question. Jimmy Carter not observed the Zim elections, and then did he not declare it free and fair? I don't remember. I don't recall because that was in 1980. I don't think the President of the United States went to Zimbabwe for 1980 elections. I could be wrong. He was busy dealing with, at the time, are you talking about a later election? Now, we got to be careful about what we're talking about here. Ben, he might have went to one of the later elections. Are you talking about the 2008? I don't think he was there. Yeah. Anyway, I don't recall who was at that one. Just know that it was a headache, to say the least. 58 likes, 57 people currently here. Some of you have not pushed that button.
That was easy.
You can make it happen now. You can make it happen. You can make it happen. Okay. No, he didn't. Jimmy Clinton was dealing with the Iran debacle. Jimmy Clinton. You mean Bill Clinton. And Iran. Yeah, guys, you got to give me time frames here. I can't just guess at things. Anyway, that's kind of where we're at today. That's the news. The Fannie Willis trial, it's not her trial. It's the divorce proceedings. Actually, it's not even that. It's the hearing to determine whether she will be disqualified by the judge, who looks likely to do it unless he's been bought and paid for by the Democrats. MK, however, when they planned to destroy things during the struggle, they couldn't now. What's that? Oh, they couldn't do that. Now they want to build. They can't. Exactly. Yep. Yeah, Eben Barlow. Yeah, someone said they could get me an interview with him, but it's never happened. So it would be interesting. I don't know what he would want to discuss. Joe says, election is near. We will see some crazy stuff ahead, like the ANC guy, don't remember his name, saying he will put posters of ANC and Iran. Yeah, okay. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. First off, it's nonsense. Who is going to drive 6 hours across the Free State to the Northern Cape to go to the Orange River on pothole-filled roads to get to Aranya to walk around and put posters up? It's illegal. It's private land. It's trespassing. But we will see crazy stuff. We're already seeing it from the ANC making ludicrous claims. The Panyazi Lesufi claiming that he's hired 90,000 people in the past year by creating 90,000 jobs. That's total fiction. He hasn't created any jobs. He's just taking people on the welfare roll and giving them a title, and now gives them money for being on a title, not accomplishing anything. Also, his so-called security force is unconstitutional, and someone should challenge it in court so that it can be disbanded before people are killed or murdered by these inexperienced, now armed cadres. Panyazi Lesufi also attacking Gauteng, specifically the Shwane municipal government under the leadership of coalition led by the Democratic Alliance, saying that they have not spent 1.2 billion rand of money that was given to them, leaving the context out that for 4 months they couldn't spend any money because every time they sent out a rubbish vehicle or a tanker, it was attacked and burned by ANC supporters in a 4-month municipal strike when they demanded 8.5% pay raise when no one else is getting a pay raise. These government employees are spoiled and little children throwing tantrums in the midst of an economic crisis, demanding more money that they don't deserve, they are not entitled to, and they haven't earned. And so Shwane was unable to deliver services for 4 months, and that's one reason why they couldn't use this money to do economic development. Meanwhile, Edgar Herlini also over 600 million rand, and it is Johannesburg with 1.2 billion rand that hasn't been spent. And so the national fiscus is saying we're going to take the money back. And Panyazi Lesufi, instead of being honest about the entire province, only focuses on the DA-led Shwane. It's dishonest. And the media carry the water for him. News 24 reporting on that story fails to mention the context of the municipal strike and the damage done by people destroying infrastructure and the 4 months lost of productive time and the ability to spend the money. They're dishonest. They just like, they're so-called fact checkers. Every day I have to call out News 24. They should grow up. Eds, welcome. My duck hooter. It's here somewhere. I think I put it in the shelf over there. Your dogs are missing it. By the way, ants, when you come onto that Zoom session, you have to turn your microphone in mute. You can do that with the software at the bottom. Put your microphone on mute. Your dogs and your cough kept disrupting the meeting. So next time, please, so you know that. Lucifi is a moron. Yes, he is. Former head of provincial education outing. Well, that says it all. Funny feeling the ANC won't accept losing the polls and step down. Talking of garbage removal, ours hasn't been picked up this week. There you go, Maryland. Mine was. We had 6 inches of snow. The roads were completely blocked. And the same day, within a couple of hours of the snow falling, the plows came through our private neighborhood here and plowed it out. We pay a home association fee, which takes care of that. All the neighbors here, we pay it. And that was all plowed. Of course, they plowed the snow right into my driveway, so I had to go out and shuffle it, which is a lot of work. But they plowed our streets. The main streets were plowed by the city, township, and county. All cleared. Highways, snow cleared within a couple hours easily in what could have been a paralyzing snowstorm. The trash removal folks, because they're on a tight schedule, it's a private company, could not come that day. They announced that. They warned people ahead of time the night before because of the pending snowstorm. They came the next day. They picked up, they removed the rubbish and the recycling just like that. Private sector. Profit focused and motivated. That's what makes the difference. Executive Outcomes was one of the first companies to be awarded a license by Southern government to operate as a government-approved PMC. And then they tried to shut them down. They went after them. Yep. ANC politicians get promoted when they screw up. Yep. Daily Friend earlier reported about a hardware store that had a miniature substation installed in their backyard. Mini substation was only a few years back. Too funny. Yeah, it's interesting. It's not just them. Also, that was reported in the Daily Maverick, if I'm not mistaken, and reported in another publication yesterday. But I reported the story because they're using the same photograph showing a substation being moved. But the one yesterday was in a businessman's house. It's been missing since 2014, and it's been used to power his palace. It was stolen, the substation, and installed on his property, and they just discovered it. This just shows the wholesale corruption going on and allowed by the ANC. Eben Barlow, super interesting guy. Well, I'm sure he is. Yep. Where are the Freedom Front Plus in the Hrublesdal debacle? Well, the Freedom Front Plus, why should they be involved in the Hrublesdal debacle? I'm going to ask you that question, Brian Lawrenson. Those individuals got themselves in trouble with their actions. Not saying they committed crimes, but why were they there? Why were they there? They know they're not going to get the same treatment. The EFF gets a free pass when they destroy vehicles in car lots in Brockenfell, when they march in Pretoria in violation of COVID lockdown, tens of thousands, when they march in Phoenix in violation of the law. Nothing will happen to them. However, they should have known better, and they should have been there. I'm not criticizing, but what does the Freedom Front Plus have to do with their actions? They have nothing to do with their actions. The Freedom Front Plus did not lead a protest there about the guys who purportedly used a dog to attack their security guard. 1 kilometer cable, no one knew about it. Huh. Of course people knew about it. Come on, RJ, people knew about it. But they look the other way, or they get paid to look the other way. Linked to the Zoom session, but wasn't able to come in. Okay. Lanasa businessmen stole the substation. Yeah, that's what I reported yesterday. And now they're talking about it's in some other place. So I don't know if there's the same story being misreported or it's a second case. AFF is running out of racist campaign around. I know that Boers and Afrikaners are not the same tribe. Huh. Monthly bribe can get you anything in South Africa. That's Charles. Yep. That's a true statement. It is a true statement. Yep. So I don't, Devet Martins, welcome to you. And you said that Brian was correct. What was Brian's last statement? Where the EFF and Hrublesdal. Yeah. Well, what exactly do you guys think the Freedom Front Plus is? What do you think its role is in South Africa? It's a political party. So the 2021 elections, the Freedom Front Plus had the following to say. Make sure we get an English, not Afrikaans here. Yes, would you like to continue in English or Afrikaans? English. Okay. Okay, change is needed. Let's see their manifesto, which I've read before, but I don't know off the top of my head. 2021 manifesto, stop the decay. Okay? All right, so where are their points here? These are problems. Infrastructure, poor service delivery, destruction of the environment, financial deficit, mismanagement, policy solutions. Okay, so EFF says establish an accountable municipal council. Municipal officials must act in the interest of the community. Affirmative action should come to an end. The Freedom for Plus demands abolishment of affirmative action. The tender process in municipalities must be revised. Only contracts consultants who have experience and proven records should be appointed. Historical loyalty should not be considered in any appointments. South African engineers must be appointed irrespective of their skin color. And Freedom from Plus against racial discrimination. Okay, so devolve power to the community, encourage a rich community life where involvement is deeper. Rates and taxes paid by community must be used in that specific area. Encourage subsidiary independence and self-determination. Ensure cooperation between various role players, a safer environment. Eradicate derelict empty office buildings. You know, so I mean, there's what here is about, you know, protesting the mistreatment of people at an event. Afrikaners are formerly Dutch, Cape Dutch, and they oppress the Boers. Well, we can have the discussion all day there, Grasshopper. So basically your argument is that anyone who speaks Afrikaans, who's white, who's not living in the Western Cape, up to the Great Fish River, is not a Boer. That's pretty much your argument. That's the argument you're making, because that's the distinction. They're the ones who stayed behind. Get that 4 dude were arrested for allegedly assaulting a staff officer. Yeah, Charles, but only one of them is accused of actually touching a SAPS officer. They're accused of inciting violence, which didn't ensue. So the whole thing is just crap. The whole thing is crap. Okay. So, damn right, Swanee, says Brian. Effing traitors. They were peaceful and couldn't even get bail. Freedom Plus killed Article 235 now, shouting the odds because Afrikaner voters are calling them out for doing piss in 30 years. Okay, well, great. Great, Chris. All right. So, who you voting for? Action SA? ACDP? Who you guys voting for? And what exactly do people expect an opposition party to do that's not in control? What do they expect an opposition party that's not in control of the legislature, the parliament, or municipalities to do? The DA has controlled Nelson Mandela Bay, Johannesburg, Pretoria, and Cape Town at various stages. And they've also controlled the Western Province. So the DA has a track record you can go after. Where has the Freedom Front Plus ever had governorship and control? They've been part of coalitions with the DA in places, but what are they at control of? Who are you guys going to vote for? Chris, tell people what Article 235 is so that the whole audience is informed. Just a brief description. What am I missing here? Yeah, that substation is an interesting story to say the least. Anyway, yeah. So, oh man, my jaw is sore. I hope I'm not getting another freaking infection here. Jeez, it started hurting. Case of lesser of the evils, people. No party in South Africa is perfect. Exactly, Charles. That's the point I'm trying to make here. The DA is not a conservative party. I'm a conservative. I wouldn't vote DA unless the circumstances warranted, but I would vote for a party that's not one of these evil leftist parties. Doesn't leave a lot of choice. Look, I don't like everything the ACDP stands for, but they're conservative. I look at the comments here, and it's not helping. Some people, please be realistic. Exactly, Joe. That's the point I'm trying to make as well. And I've been saying that all along. That's why the argument here has always been vote for anybody that is not EFF and not ANC. But now I'd have to extend that to not EFF, not ANC, and not MK. Posts regarding Boer independence are being deleted. I trust this is not admin. Must be. It is YouTube AI, Devet. No one, there has not been any single. I have seen no comments deleted by any of my moderators, and certainly not by me. So you must be saying something that's pissed off YouTube, Devet. It's certainly none of us. None of us are done it. But you're here. We see you. Glad to see you there, Devet. But no, none of us are done. Yep. No worries. Happy to make the point for you. Oh, yeah, Charles, I made the point 1,000 times. You don't get credit for it. I made that point 1,000 times. Yeah. Yeah, so look, you folks, Joe is making a statement here, and Joe is correct. And I've said this repeatedly going back to 2020. It is not helpful to be bumhurt about a political party that is not a bunch of lunatics. Pick a party, since you don't get to pick candidates, and vote for that party. Go vote so that you can prevent these ghouls from running South Africa into the ground. Simple as that. You can be angry with parties. Look, do you think I'm happy with the Republican Party? 27 Republicans just voted to give Ukraine another $60 billion. I'm not happy about that. But does that mean I'm going to not vote or I'm going to vote for Democrats? No. It means I'm going to vote. No, Eric, I can confirm. There are no mods here. I can see. When one of my moderators deletes a comment, I can see it. I used to be able to see when YouTube's AI deleted that, but YouTube tweaked their system so that content creators can no longer see when comments are deleted. That's why we had to have Devet tell us that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known. Busy eating a burger, says Hendo. What's the difference between ACDP and Freedom Front Plus regarding their manifestos? The ACDP is much more conservative Christian and Christianity focused in their platform than the Freedom Front Plus. Freedom Front Plus has Christian ideals and values that are part of their manifesto, but the ACDP is much more vocal about their Christianity, and that's one reason why they have a limited support. Ants is going for Freedom Front Plus, okay? Yeah, no, rhinos are not my favorite. Not at all. And the Republican Party is full of rhinos. And we're full of people who do dumb things. Yep. So R1, yeah, those are, you look, this is all available. Go online. Here, let me find it. So let me see ACDP. ACDP South Africa. Dr. Kenneth Mashwe's party. Okay, here's their website. They stand unequivocally in support of Israel and the Jewish people. There you go. Look at that. Like many Christians, they stand with Israel. Apparently, Dr. Mashwe had an incredible performance at the State of the Nation debate. I don't know if you guys saw that. It took a while for this to come up. Oh, they have cool colors, too. Not that that should matter, but they have cool colors. Let me get this up here very quickly. There you go. So there's ACDP, Your Hope for a Great Future. Yeah, so about... campaigns, here you go. Let me see. National Assembly Member of Parliament there. Must be registered to vote for the ACDP. Yep, you sure have to. Okay, let's get up here and see if I can't find. So they don't have their manifesto. Public Representatives, Newsroom, Campaigns. Let's see what that says. Truth, justice, and the love of God in one's neighbor should be the pillars of which we to build our democracy. Yep, they're focused on Christianity. So the slide's a little bit slow from this side of the Atlantic. Care in Action, Happy Feet Shoes Project. None of this tells me their manifesto. I'd have to search for it specifically, but you can look them up and you can find out more about them. So campaigns, newsroom. Let's look at their press statements. Anyway, yeah, so you can check them out. Erica used to be in the ACDP, if I'm not mistaken, I think. Conflict between DA and Freedom Front Plus. I'm not sure if Freedom Front Plus has anyone in our area. Well, Charles, check into it. ACDP statement on general intelligence laws. Minister of Higher Education, they're calling him to step down. Yep. So anyway, that's ACDP. I'm not pushing for them or shilling for them. I'm just telling you it's there, so go check it out. Alrighty, folks, it's a numbers game. Exactly, Garrett, it's a numbers game, and you need to get the ANC down as far as possible and get the potential coalition partners together and vote for somebody. And anyway, but yeah, Joe, I agree. Thanks for all you do. I know your own country has problems. Yeah, we do, Joe. We have problems, and some of us are trying to fix those problems. So anyway, Brett says Putin is a tyrant. Well, yes, he is. We're aware of that. He's not very happy with the DA under Musi Maimani, but Musi Maimani's not there anymore. Musi Maimani is long gone. John Steenhuisen leads that party now. Anyway, so, and Helen Zilla in the background for the federal chairperson position. Anyway, that's it, folks. Pretty cool. Got to be smart on this one. Yep. You guys take care. Thanks for being here. Be sure to hit the like button if you don't mind. Thanks for the new memberships handed out. Do appreciate that. No super chats. That's fine. Tomorrow, 2 broadcasts. I don't know if I'll do a news broadcast. I'm certainly doing 2 rugby broadcasts on Rugby Ascendant. The first game will be the Bulls in Joburg facing the Lions. Second game will be the Stormers in Durban facing the Sharks. You agree with the logic of voting for the second worst political party in order to dethrone ANC? Or do you think, like me, that we should vote for the best option? I think, R1, you should vote for the best option for you. If the argument people are trying to make is you should give it all to the DA, which the DA made the argument in 2021, it was a foolish argument. The DA said, if they're going to attack, they should say, don't vote ANC and EFF. That's what they should say. Now they're using an argument. But if you think that the Freedom Front Plus or ACDP or Action SA is better, then vote your conscience. Because no party is going to get 50%. The DA is not going to get 30%. They're just not going to do it. If they got over 30%, then you should consider everybody voting for the DA and screw the smaller parties. That's what you should consider. But they're not going to get there. They're polling at 20% or 23%. They're not going to get to 30%. They've never reached 30% national election. And because of all the additional parties that formed, and these little tiny things like the PMC, and then you've got bigger ones like Action SA, and you've got MK now forming, they are not going to get 30%. So vote your conscience. And hopefully your conscience doesn't lead you to vote for the ANC, Mkhonto Sizwe, or the EFF. There you go. Exactly, Chris, and that's the argument I've been making. There is no quick fix. South Africa, not just the debt, not just the problems you inherit, not just the broken infrastructure that took 30 years to degrade and fall apart. And it's going to take 30 years to repair and replace. On top of that, you have a bureaucracy full of kleptocrats and full of patronage hires, most of whom are unqualified for the job they have. And if you bring in qualified people, you'll be accused of racism. So it's a no-win situation. The best we can hope for is that the removal of the ANC and a multi-party coalition will lead to arresting the decline of South Africa and hopefully slow it down. It's still going to decline to where it can get a chance to put institutions, systems, and checks and balances in place to restore South Africa down the road. But it ain't going to happen overnight. There you go. So Erica, they had going to put her in Parliament one time. All right, folks. Met God, Toyota. Okay. Yep. All right, Joe. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Be sure to hit the like button. We got up to 74 now. I'm going to head out. I've got a meeting in how many minutes? 30? 50 minutes. In 50 minutes, I got a meeting. And it's not here. I got to drive to it. I know a few people who would vote for a similar party as mine, but believe in voting for the second worst. Well, R1, it's their prerogative. Wouldn't it be cool to see like the Freedom Front Plus get 6% and the IFP get 9% of the ballot? That would make them real power brokers, and they can make a difference. The first 6 months after the elections will be a deal breaker. The majority can change all those ANC bills. Yeah, exactly. That's why it's so important. You can stop the national health. You see, you got to think about this tactically, strategically. You can stop the national health insurance or have it repealed. You can stop the expropriation without compensation, get rid of it. You can get rid of all this garbage and save the country. I think you should vote and be positive this election. It's the most important one, says Laudine. Love your value. Many folk listen and watch the background. Make no mistakes. We look after the hive. Okay, cool beans. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. I'll see you tomorrow on the rugby and if anything breaks. Thanks a lot, everybody. Be safe. Cheers. And enjoy what's left of your Friday.